UFC 316, Merab was able to submit Sean O'Malley in a dominant performance. Sean looked in good shape, but Merab, you could tell, he has just leveled up. Also, he was healthy here, Ben, as well. We know he's always struggled with some serious injuries. But the big knock on Merab now has been, this guy's not a finisher. He just stalls. He just kind of grinds people out. Here he is. He takes Sean O'Malley down and puts him in this wild, nasty choke and submits him in the third round. How impressed are you from what we saw from Merab here? A guy that's already been sort of labeled the GOAT with only a couple title defenses so far.
Yeah, he's on his way. I mean, like you mentioned, leveling up with each performance. I'm deeply impressed. I think he had the better striking moments. I think that there was a number of shots he landed on Sean, a number of sequences that he won so convincingly and dominantly and surprisingly, right? I thought that Sean O'Malley, without the partially torn labrum, with 9 months to fully focus and prepare, was going to come in here with some really fine-tuned game planning. I have immense respect for Tim Welch and that whole crew because I think that they, do have high fight IQ. This was not a fight that I feel displayed that from Sean O'Malley. He was hesitant to engage offensively, didn't want to be commanding inside of the ring, and didn't attack the body. The focus should have been the body, right? That fifth round in their first fight should have been every round from Sean O'Malley, and it simply wasn't. Yet, Merab took it to a completely different degree. Here's 10, boom, it's up to 11. That's how Merab cranks it. And talk about cranking north-south choke. Ugh, unreal, right? We talk about O'Malley's jits. Merab, he's got some pretty damn good ones himself.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. He was able to convert into that choke pretty impressively. I think I was watching some people do breakdowns and they were kind of like, oh, he doesn't have anything until he had something. He was able to, he almost created his own version of a north-south Ezekiel choke. It was pretty insane what he was able to do. An iconic image over here as well. Look at that. Him just kind of big brothering Sean O'Malley here. But I guess a big pivotal point in the fight was, Merab was able to stand with Sean O'Malley. He was able to take some of Sean O'Malley's best shots, and he's actually able to still look pretty good on the feet. It looked like Sean O'Malley kind of looked a little bit lost. He felt all right, well, with me being healthy, with more movement, I can set up these shots better. I can hurt him. But when he hit Merab and saw that it wasn't doing much of anything to Merab, and then Merab was able to start to go out there on his feet and start to dominate, I think it killed off a lot of Sean's, I guess, will and game plan there. What do you I've spoken to Luke Thomas about this. He says to beat Merab, you got to hurt him. You can't just stay there. You got to hurt him. You got to make everything count. What do you think Sean O'Malley could have done different? You said the body shots. Is there anything else he could have done different here, do you think, to try and really have a better shot at beating Merab?
What we saw with Cejudo and Marlon Moraes when they stung Merab with those left hooks is really find themselves sitting comfortable inside the pocket. It never really seemed like Sean was comfortable inside the pocket. He is such a rangy, precise sniper that, if he's not going to see his moment, he's not going to take a shot. If it's not there in front of O'Malley, he's going to be hesitant. And then that's where Merab takes over. With Marlon and Cejudo, it just seemed like there was a little bit more of an eagerness to just engage, not give much of a fuck, right? Hey, we're in a fight. I'm in the pocket. Boom, there's a left hook. How about you eat it? Which Merab did, right? But Sean he just can't create that same opportunity in the trenches for himself. And I think that's really where the difference in striking styles presents, right? And that's the problem with grapplers versus strikers. If you are a sniper like Sean, your kryptonite is a guy that's in front of you, pressuring, never letting off the gas. So it's always a fight that I don't think Sean is going to win.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where it's until Merab gets significantly hurt by an opponent and can't take the damage anymore, he's going to keep coming forward. And he's got that championship level confidence in himself now as well, and he's leveling up. It's also interesting to see, if he's not hurt, what he looks like, because he's fought hurt a couple of times now. I like to see him healthy, so maybe he should avoid running down a few hills. Hey, Sean O'Malley next. Featherweight? Well, what are we thinking? Or do we stick around? He's got a big frame, Ben. Do we want to see him at 140? I mean, Aljamain Sterling's up at 145.
He is. I would wager that Aljamain is not having the success that he wished at
Nah.
145. I think if Sean wanted to test featherweight, he'd have to really take time to bulk up. You got to put muscle on. And I know he's dipped his toes in the strength and conditioning waters, but you're going to have to jump right into the deep end to swim at featherweight because, like, those guys are bigger. And the way you look at Merab handling Sean, right, and carrying him, slamming him onto the canvas, I just don't think that that bodes well for a kid at 145, right? So I think that Sean has some exciting matchups at bantamweight left. I mean, Song Yadong still exists. Maybe that's a good step down. There is Sandhagen. There is Yan too. Like, there's fights for Sean at 135. So until, you know, until something severely crazy forces Sean upwards, I think you should stay at bantamweight.
You know what's interesting? He put out a video after he cut weight. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it because you're over there in the heat of the battle with your partner, but he was breaking down the fact that like he feels like he's close to death when he's cutting weight and getting rid of those pounds is close. So I wonder, and we'll talk about this with Kayla in a second, but I wonder if those weight cuts are getting to him. Just quickly, let me sell you on featherweight for Sean O'Malley. Looking at the top 10 here, it's interesting to note that a lot of the guys in the top 10 here would actually match up not too badly with Sean O'Malley because you don't have that many wrestlers, right? Like you have a lot of strikers. You got Yair Rodriguez, obviously Mosa would not be a good fight, but that's going to be like potentially the next title shot. But towards you got Diego Lopez, Brian Ortega, Yair Rodriguez, even like a Josh Emmett, Lon Murphy, maybe. I don't know. He's a bit of a tricky one. Tapuri is obviously out, but there could be a case made that for Sean O'Malley going out there and having those fights, he could probably pick up a couple of wins, depending on what he looks like.
You know, if you're Tim Welch, you're probably saying, hey, let's take on the number 9 ranked featherweight, Aljamain Sterling, and just,
Alja just can't get away from it. Next thing, Piotr Jan moves up to everyone's just moving up. How about that, Alja?
I think that might be the path, right? Josh Emmett, that's an interesting one. I just think for me, it's I don't want to use the word fragility with Sean O'Malley, but if I try and put him up at 145 with some of the reactions to the shots he was taking by Merab of all fucking people at bantamweight, if Josh Emmett is landing some of those same blows, you're gonna wake up in the hospital, right? So I don't know. I'd love to see it. Sean's a young kid. He's deeply talented. Sean O'Malley is a deeply talented fighter. I think he's in just a weird rut. You know what I mean?
Imagine a fight between him and Jan Silva or Aaron Pico. There's a couple of fun fights there as well for your 145. Let's quickly talk about, by the way, Aaron Bronstetter put up a little video on Instagram. Cory and Merab already interacting backstage. Very wholesome. Look at this. Handshake.
I really like your jokes.
Okay, yeah. We're gonna have
a lot of respect here.
I'll just say he's getting funny and keep doing it.
Aljo doesn't know what to do here. Aljo's like, I don't know what he's about to do. Is he going to attack him? Is he going to attack him? What's going to happen here? But Cory, that's the next fight. That's a hot fight, right?
It is. Cory coming off that great win over Davison Figueiredo. So many fans would look at that finishing sequence and say, oh, Davison, hurt himself, but it was caused by Cory's actions. I'll say this. The only knock I have on Sandhagen right now is the fact that he shows up to these events looking like the bass player in a metal band. Cory said, we got to get some better attire. Come on, wardrobe, Cory, wardrobe. No, it's a great fight. I think that Cory has a couple bad tendencies that Merab can absolutely take advantage of, right? Giving the back way too frequently, but it's a really intriguing clash that we just haven't seen Merab kind of face. And I've always maintained that there was a 3-fight win streak that Cory Sandhagen had where he could have sat out and he would have earned a title shot. But no, he took the risk and gave Umar that opportunity, and it didn't go his way. That's all right. He bounced back, of course, but like that action right there tells me that, hey, Cory Sandhagen's a gamer. He's a player. And now that he does have that victory over a top 10 Davison, and Merab needs a dance partner for his 18 title defenses this year, why the fuck not? Let's run it.
Dude, I know what's interesting as well. The way that Sandhagen won his last fight is exactly what you want to see going into this Merab fight. Because where do you beat Merab? All right, if you can't hurt him, because let's just say you can't hurt the guy. He's just in his prime, whatever. If you can't hurt him, you got to take advantage of the scrambles and the transitions, and you got to catch him as he's trying to take you down, as you're getting up, as you're in between positions, between your half guard and your full guard, and trying to get up. And Cory Sandhagen, he's the guy that can weaponize his submissions and weaponize his attacking in those situations. So for Merab, when he goes to take him down, which he will, and he's maybe going to try and grind him out on the ground, that's still dangerous for Merab, at least at the start of the fight. Cory Sandhagen is still dangerous in those positions up against the cage when they're going down, right? That adds a little bit of mystique and interest to this. He's more dangerous to Merab in a whole kind of different way. And he has aspects to his jiu-jitsu game that a lot of UFC fighters don't. Like he knows how to weaponize positions that others don't. Like Merab may end up in a position that he doesn't realize is dangerous until Cory is able to take advantage of it. That's what makes it interesting.
And I think when we try and analyze now the weaknesses in Merab's game and what could potentially break this title reign, we talk about age, father time. That's the only thing that can take out Merab at this point. But there might be an element of complacency. Stay with me here. So when you're a champion, right, you've defended so many times and you're really cruising, you might hit that point where you go, I'm invincible. And a cat like Cory Sandhagen with the claws he has could show you you're not. And I'm not suggesting at all that a guy like Merab would fall in that trap, because he is a consummate professional, one of the hardest workers in the game. But, with a guy as dominant as Merab, I mean, shit, we're just scraping the bottom of the barrel going, what could beat this fucking guy? Maybe it's complacency. Maybe I got to wait him out for a few years, right? So now we're at that point, and I think that Cory is, like you mentioned, clash we haven't seen. It's intriguing, and in those entanglements, Sandhagen can drag you into some quicksand.
Yeah, nice one. I was going to also say that it's going to be interesting. Like, it's exactly what you said, because someone like Merab, who overpowers people in grappling situations, could find himself shooting in and doing all this stuff. And we've seen people like Lachlan Giles and ADCC take over the competition with leg locks and stuff like that. He's from Melbourne, by the way. He's from like one of the gyms I used to be at. And obviously Craig Jones then came out, worked with him, and then moved on overseas and Absolute MMA here, and then overseas he's now one of the biggest names in the world. But it really does take there is a certain part of grappling that even like people that are jiu-jitsu champions are not great at. And that is, the leg lock games, all sorts of different crazy guards that you can take advantage of that some people haven't. That's why, like, not many people can handle Craig Jones. He's just so clever with the way that he grapples. Not many people know the kind of attacking game he has. So, and we saw, by the way, the work that Craig has done with JDM and Alex Okonovsky, a lot of these guys. So it's going to be interesting to see what Cory Sandhagen does. Let's talk about, by the way, did you see someone fell on top of Merab? Let me show you this. Did you see this?
Yeah,
as he was coming out?
The stand collapsed. I don't know.
Look at this. Look at this. Coming out. The guy fell on the camera guy or something over there. See that?
We saw this with Mike Malott, I believe, at a UFC event in Canada last year, 2 years ago. They got to work on their stands. I don't know what the nuts and bolts they're using, but clearly it's not regulation. We got to tighten these screws to protect our fighters, because that's, Dana said it at the post-fight presser twice in 25 years, but I wager twice within like 2 years of the 25 years of this company. So come on, let's tighten things up a little bit.
Sounds like a Sabu fan, yeah? They're just like jumping off the guardrail, doing like a leg drop. It's like EC dub. Anyway, that's crazy. Imagine being that fan, just ended up on the pay-per-view landing. Imagine he landed on top of Merab. It was like a Tony Ferguson situation.
Oh my God.
What about that cameraman that's like trying to do his job and just gets the elbow on the back of the neck? I love that.
The union's getting an email. I tell you what.
Oh, man. Okay, so let's just have a look at this, by the way. Kayla Harrison goes out at UFC 316, and she's able to dominate Juliana Pena. She was able to perform after a crazy weight cut. I just got to get your thoughts, Ben. Anything, like, how much more impressive do you think this performance could have been from Kayla? Like, it looked like she was able to basically do everything that we thought she was going to do. And I actually thought Juliana Pena was going to be a trickier challenge for her on the feet. I thought she was going to be, at least for the first couple of rounds, a little bit trickier, something with unorthodox striking that Kayla hasn't really seen. And Kayla looked good in this fight. She was able to basically put in her game plan and get this done.
Unorthodox striking is a cute way of saying shit striking. I'll tell you what. No, Pena has always made a name for herself on toughness, grittiness, and I will say I respect that about her, right? Amanda Nunes couldn't finish her 50-43, 50-44, and 50-45, but no stoppages for the Lioness against her. So I myself was asking, can Kayla Harrison, someone who went the distance with Ketlin Vieira,
Mm.
find a inside the distance move on Juliana? And that was a question I was asking myself. And then I saw the first round of this fight, and I said, "Yeah, she probably." can." I'll say this to answer your first question: what could Kayla have done better? I think some more polishing on the striking could have been a bit nicer. Not saying it was bad in any way, but it was quite basic, And I think that something more pronounced defensively on the feet from Kayla would have been nice. But again, when she got those double unders, got Juliana to the mat, it was just game, set, match. A beautiful Kimura. I mean, shit, she took Juliana's elbow and shoulder home with her. So, as expected, and I'll say this within combat sports and mixed martial arts, we have. At times minus 700 favorites, and then they eat a knee, they eat an elbow, and they're out cold, and then Baba Booey, right? Everything is flipped on its head. And it's interesting to see something that is as advertised go as expected, and everything kind of remains in shape, right? Sometimes we get curveballs, but tonight this was what we thought it was going to be.
Mm. So we got Amanda Nunes. She jumped into the octagon. That looks like it's going to be the next fight. And Kayla Harrison was at the post-fight press conference. And she also spoke about, I think, with Joe Rogan, about how making that weight is basically like a gift from God. Like she doesn't know how she loses that last pound. Realistically, how much longer do you think she can do this to herself? Like she is literally saying that she has no idea how she's making it down to this weight. She's 34 years old. Every time she makes these cuts, it's basically taking something out of her. A lot more than fighting will. Affects your organs, affects everything.
Yeah.
How many more fights? Do you think like this next one could be it? Or do you think they do Amanda at a higher weight, maybe? Try to protect her a little? What do you think they do?
I think what would be interesting is if they placed a women's featherweight title fight. So you've got Kayla not having to cut
Mm.
the extra 10 pounds, but the opportunity to become a double champion. And then the Lioness coming back for a title fight. So gold on the line for her as well. That could be interesting, maybe best case scenario. And then they both ride off into the sunset. I recognize their training partners. I recognize there's so much history, and they don't want to end each other like we've seen with some matchups before. But that could be an avenue for this one. But yeah, I think that what Kayla Harrison's done in this sport is truly remarkable, right? A gold medalist, two-time PFL champion, now UFC champion. Like, we have to insert her in the upper echelon of greatest of all time because, it's in-ring accomplishments ridiculous. And I got to add this as an addendum because for me, it's my personal subjective category for GOAT. She's an amazing human being as well, right? Her story,
Mm.
what she's done with her family, adopting her nieces and nephews, right? Just acting as a great ambassador of ethics and morality. You just can't get better than Kayla Harrison. So that would be my suggestion. 145-pound double champ for Kayla, another belt for Nunes. They don't have to cut as much, but in all reality, it'll probably be a bantamweight title fight.
Yeah, it's interesting because that would be a different fight, especially with Kayla not having to cut. I feel like if I had to predict this fight, I would give her a slight disadvantage if she does have to cut back down. If it was 145, I think she could do a little bit better. There's only so much she can do at that weight. But let's say it is at that 135 weight class. Who do you think? And by the way, look at that photo of them facing off. Not a bad little promo picture. By the way, Amanda Nunes was like, "You want me to get in the octagon? Me? They're like, get in the octagon. What are you doing?
Yeah.
We're trying to build a fight here." They're like trying to get her in. Like, me? Am I getting in? Who do you think wins at that weight class if it is going to be for the belt?
I think I lean 60-40 Nunes. I think that the Lioness just has a greater diversity in her skill set. And while I recognize that Kayla's a monster on the ground, Amanda is the greatest female mixed martial artist we've ever seen. And while she has had some time away from competition, that's because she absolutely rinsed every fucking person she could, right? So I think that, I lean towards her, but because of the inactivity, I'll line it 60-40. Kayla's got a shot, but I think Nunes is going to take that.
I think it's going to be interesting as well, them training together.
Mhm.
Nunes has had a bit of a break. It's just hard for me to picture Kayla being able to survive the power of
Mhm.
Nunes, especially if she's healthy going in there. But again, that adds to her legacy. The other interesting thing here is, right, let's say Kayla can't make that weight. There's some fun fights for her if she moves up. Like we keep talking about maybe Cyborg making a comeback, them doing a Cyborg fight in the UFC, towards
Yeah.
the end of Kayla's career. What about this one? I got a lot of hate for it. I want to get your thoughts on it. I don't know if you're going to be down with this, but is there a scenario, even just a little scenario here? These women have history. She lost to this woman in judo in 2005. Do you think the door is slightly opened for Ronda Rousey to potentially make a comeback against Kayla Harrison for the belt? I mean, listen to my case. After Nunes, if she beats Nunes, you do not have, like, obviously there is a division there. There'll be people that work towards it, but you don't have any huge money fights. For Ronda Rousey, she fought Holly Holm. She fought Amanda Nunes. Why wouldn't you fight Kayla Harrison? And she beat her at judo. And she's closed her door with the WWE after the stuff that she said about her pro wrestling run. She's no longer needed in movies. You would think she wants a cash injection. UFC needs star power. Like, is there a small window there, or am I just being crazy right here?
Listen, as great Canadian singer-songwriter Justin Bieber would say never." I don't, I don't foresee a world in which a very aged and inactive, competitively Ronda Rousey would return against a monster like Kayla Harrison. Sure, maybe she beat her in judo 300 years ago, but I just don't foresee that occurring, right? Rhonda's made her money. She is content with whatever she's doing, putting herself back into the trenches of a fight camp for a UFC championship against a very unwinnable fight, I would say, for her. Probably not in the scorecards, but to your point, it would be good business, right? I don't think anyone, because the thing about Ronda Rousey is a lot of people know her name. Right. And at one point in time, she was selling massive numbers. If you look at honestly the
Dude, she
transition
was
from her,
huge. She
she
was
was
the
huge.
biggest. Yeah.
There was a 75% drop in reported pay-per-view sales to Nunez. And Amanda, as great as she was, never got a fraction of what Ronda Rousey was able to create in terms of revenue and profit for the company. So I would say for the brass, there's a conversation there, but I just don't see that actually occurring.
You know what? Maybe if we all shave our balls, Ben, she'll be more likely to come back. You never know. No one likes guys with hairy balls, and Manscaped has you sorted for that. That is the Chairman Pro right there. That is not for your balls. That is for your face. That is an elite face shaver like no other. You guys can go to manscaped.com/submission now. Get 15% off this Chairman Pro and all the other products, plus free shipping, plus you're supporting the program. And by the way, the Chairman Pro is a high-tech, dad-approved grooming upgrade. It's an electric face shaver that can tackle up to 5 days of growth and features 2 interchangeable blade heads. Manscaped.com. Jump on there, get that sorted. And while you guys are shaving your balls, what about your eSIMs? What do you guys have? Because SAILY is the greatest eSIM in the world. If you have other girlfriends all over the world, why not use SAILY? Make sure you're covered if you're cheating on your relationship. SAILY has you sorted right now. If you try it for free, if you try it today, go to SAILY.com/submission. It's not free, but you guys get a 15% off discount off your first purchase. Best eSIM from roaming around the world. Don't get logged into dumb local plans. Have to take your SIM card out, top up how much you need whenever you need to go with the SAILY app. It is literally the easiest, the cheapest, the best option for your travel sims. Check out SAILY right now. Hey, Ben, someone who might have not used Manscaped or SAILY's Patchy Mix, he got set up by the UFC here in a position to go for the belt. I know a lot of people are going to be talking whether it was going to be Sandhagen or Piotr Jan or Patchy Mix, but there was a real-world scenario here where if he came out on the same card as Merab and Sean and put in a dominant performance and put Mario Batista away, he could have gotten that title shot. Although that didn't happen. We people are calling him Wario Bautista now, right? Because he's bringing the war. The hands looked sharp. Patchy looked slow. He wasn't able to get anything together, and he didn't really take the fight to the area of the game that he's best at, which is the grappling. Did Patchy Mix fumble the bag here and put all his chips in the wrong area against Mario Bautista at UFC 316 tonight?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, Patchy Mix talked so much shit. I remember in the embedded, he's saying this guy's a journeyman. I'm a three-time champ. I'm going to submit him and submit his entire team. And then what did he go out and do? He shot one fucking takedown, I think, right? To your point, did nothing offensively with the grappling, was standing and taking pictures while Mario Bautista was landing right hand after right hand. Mario, move your head. Please move your head, Mario. And he's just like, I can't. And this is something that I think people have seen with Patchy Mix in the past, right? The Magomedov fights, Patchy under pressure just sits on the center line, goes back in a straight line. And there's some very poor habits that Patchy Mix has, which I think contradict with many people's claims that he's the best bantamweight in the world and is, skill for skill, one of the top guys, right? So, and that was on full display. I think Dana is correct in the point where when you come from other promotions to the big show, you're in deeper waters. And I think Patchy Mix felt that. And truthfully, with how much shit he talked and how much expectation was on the former Bellator bantamweight champion, I don't know what the fuck you do with him. To be honest, I don't know what you do. He's in an awful scenario. This was it. This was the moment to really stick the landing. And Patchy Mix was as far from the mark as you can.
What do we do with Bautista here, man? What do we do with Bautista here, man? No, he didn't get the post-fight interview. He looked sharp. He looked great. His striking looked really good. He's now taken out a couple of people here, big people in the division. He's got a great resume, but it's just like the fans aren't that connected to him. What do you think we do with him? I'm just having a look even just through the division. I mean, this was a good fight for him. Ahead of him, who do we give him? Is there a name that you think stands out? Do we still rebook this Marlon Vera fight? What do you think we do with him?
I keep hearing that Francis Ngannou is a free agent these days, so maybe that's the matchup that we need to see. No, I mean, like to your point, maybe Chito Vera is the play. Maybe Song Yadong. Song fights backwards a step, right? I do believe that Mario showed exactly what we wanted from him, right, in that Jose Aldo fight, a presence in the striking, pushing the pace. I like this fight from Mario, and I'll say this, I think a lot of Mario's fights are like this. That Aldo fight was an outlier. Unfortunately, it's cost him everything in terms of the court of public opinion. So I think he needs another fight exactly like this. And so then I think, well, who would present the ability for him to do that? A Chito Vera who backs up and is low volume and is defensively irresponsible, right? That would be somebody that Mario could shine against like this. So, yeah, maybe we rebook it. I mean, shit, I don't know what Marlon's got going on right now. Probably not a whole heck of a lot. So let's just run it at, the next pay-per-view.
I just want to give this a bit of respect, man. Look at the run that he's made. I mean, no one really talks about it. But Mario, man, on a nice little win streak over here. What we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoa, 8 fights win streak. The guy's been at it for a while. Obviously, he's got a few losses earlier on in his run. He did lose to Cory Sandhagen by submission in 2019. So there's a few names, but this guy's on a tear, man. Eventually they're going to have to potentially put him in a big spot. I know Piotr Jan is looking for a fight. Do we just book that over the McGee fight, and get that in the main event of an Apex or something? Do we put him in another good spot? What do you think about maybe putting him up against what? Who else do we got? Umar? Do we do Umar? Is he too high up in the rankings for that? But then it's a nice comeback fight.
Well, it's a nice
Forums?
comeback fight. And I also think Umar jumped significantly up the rankings to fight Cory Sandhagen. So this is kind of like paying your dues for Umar. You got
Mm.
to give someone else, deeper down the opportunity to really solidify your place in the top 5 for Umar. So I wouldn't hate that fight. Wouldn't hate the Song Yadong fight. Wouldn't hate the Cheeto fight. Boom. There's 3 people right there that I think you could put Mario Bautista against. And why not? It makes sense.
Awesome. I love it. All right. So, guys, that is the end of our preview show. If you guys do want to check out some more stuff, me and Ben are just going to quickly talk a little bit about Kamaru Usman, the big fight coming up next weekend, obviously, the big return fight event against Buckley and a couple of other things. That's just going to be in the membership section, so you guys can join that now. Otherwise, Ben, if they're finishing up watching it here, what is coming up for you? You got a lot going on, brother. How can people stay in tune and in touch with everything that's cooking for you?
Yeah, I mean, follow at Ben the Bane Davis on all platforms. We've got APFC coming up next week in Milwaukee. It's a fantastic card. Masvidal is going to be one of our VIPs. Raul Rosas Jr., one of our VIPs. Duke Bronx Charles Oliveira was going to be there, but he's got a big fight coming up, so he had to withdraw. But that's a great card. Features some high-level talent. 559 fights in Fresno, California the day before is going to be great. But yeah, some big things coming soon that I can't wait to announce.
No, cool, man. And also, of course, the big follow on social media. Make sure to follow them, man. One of the most hilarious Twitter accounts in the game as well. Ben Davis, thank you so much for joining me here on Submission Radio.